Go Jackets.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to WreckTalk, and it's a great time to be a Georgia Tech football fan. Things are changing. We're on the upswing. We've got our coach, Brent Key. We've got our OC and Buster Faulkner, and it turns out we already had the DC we needed in Andrew Thacker. So I hope everyone is having a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Have fun. But I wanted to do this video, which many YouTubers do, reacting to the comments. So I went through every comment. We have 100 plus videos on the channel now. By the way, if you would like to join and become a member of the channel, right up under the video there's a join button. It helps support the channel. It helps me out. Helps me bring you more content, and you get some cool stuff along with the membership. I'll also be making a members only chat in the Discord. So definitely check that out if you'd like to support the channel. In other ways, there's a PayPal and there's also a CashApp in the description. So the first thing I did is I was like, well, I wonder what the very first comment I ever had was. The first video I put out was in I want to say October. It was right after Collins had been fired. That's really what motivated me to start the channel. And interestingly enough, the very first comment was from a Georgia fan. UGA Boy said, "I subscribe to you. Welcome to the YouTube world. You're the second Tech fan I know, or at least listen to, making videos. Good luck to the new coach." So, as much trash as I talk about Georgia and the average Georgia fan, many of them are actually quite pleasant. Obviously, I grew up near Athens. A lot of friends that I grew up with are Georgia people. So I appreciate that, UGA Boy. Thank you for the support. Now, this next comment kind of highlights how a lot of commenters on videos think. And they think that you have all the knowledge that they do, or that you are like sit with them day in and day out and know exactly what it is they're talking about. But I actually really like this comment. He just says, "You really don't know, do you?" I don't even know what you're talking about. Now, I will say, I think Withers is a Georgia guy. I bet I know more about most things than you do, though. But I do love that you just comment you really don't know, which in the context of the video he commented on makes no sense. So, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. The crowded booth, Bryce Kuhn commented and said, "Thanks for the shout out. Love to see others talking about the Jackets." Once I got this comment, guys, this is when I knew I arrived.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
Thanks, Bryce. So thanks for the comment. By the way, if you're not subscribed to the Crowded Booth, you definitely need to do that. Bryce, when he was with 247, covered Georgia Tech, and he still does. This upcoming season, he will be covering LSU for 247. So hate that you're leaving us, Bryce, but definitely a good friend of the channel. Also, when I was looking back through the older videos, I don't know if you guys remember, I had this horrible, sometimes the filter was yellow. This is before I started using Adobe Premiere. Sometimes the filter was blue, but it looked really bad. It looks like someone peed everywhere, honestly. It looks really, really bad. So I'm glad things look a little more natural these days. So appreciate it. Next comment, I did 2 videos on Deion. Evidently Tech had sent some people down kind of to see what the interest was for Deion Sanders. And I went in pretty hard on him. But this guy says, and he doesn't spell Deion's name correctly either, but Deion told those kids to look in the mirror really. He didn't talk down to them. He didn't talk down to them guys. He just said if you're injured, then you should probably transfer. If you're, you might play if you're salvageable. But no, he didn't talk down to them. He just told them straight up that you're either here to get better and fight for a spot or transfer out. Now, in that context, and I'm not necessarily the grammar police. That's not the right "you're." You should use the contracted "you are" there. No, he definitely wanted them to transfer out. Like, he had no interest in those kids competing for a spot. Now, to be fair, like Paul kind of did this when he came in with certain kids, like tight ends. That's not original to Deion. Like, kids, coaches want kids to transfer out and open up roster spots. So, Chris, don't get it confused. Like, he's not taking some moral high ground. Like, he wanted those kids to transfer out. Like, he probably had kids outside or staff outside the hallway with the paperwork ready. All those kids knew as soon as he accepted that job, 5-star kids were rolling in regardless. True. Probably true. And has been true. And I would have to disagree and say he was still the best option for Tech. His recruiting is above and beyond everyone, in my opinion. Obviously, time will have to prove that, but he could have flipped Georgia Tech into a national contender in 3 years. Some of that I agree with. That last part is like, you're probably the only person on the planet that believes that. Does anyone think that Deion could have turned Georgia Tech into a national contender? That means that they're like a playoff team in 3 years. No, he's not even going to do that at Colorado. Let me tell you who he's got to play this year. He opens up at TCU on the road, a team that went to the national title game last year. Then he's got Nebraska with Matt Rue, who's a great coach. Colorado State at Oregon. He's got USC at Arizona State, Stanford at UCLA. Comes back home for Oregon State, at Arizona, at Washington State, at Utah. How many people think he's going to win 5, 6, 7 games this year? No. Now, no one is going to deny the man is a fantastic recruiter. Is he the best recruiter in the country? No, that's probably Kirby Smart right now. Kirby Smart's probably the best recruiter in the country. But this idea that he didn't talk down to the kids, he absolutely did. Not only did he talk down to the kids, he recorded it and put it on the internet. Imagine that you get a new boss, he talks to you like garbage, records it, and then the whole company watches a video of this guy talking to you saying how horrible you are. It's not a good look. Maybe it works out for Deion. It's just not something I would want. And even if you think Deion is going to end up being a great coach, I think most people would say he's probably not a great fit at Georgia Tech. And that's my stance. David says, you didn't play for the Double G Dogs. Say it ain't so. I ended up throwing this away. That's everyone kind of has skeletons in their closet. That's one of mine. And I love this guy, Gary Brooks. He like tries to split between being a Tech fan and a Georgia fan. Good grief, kid. First of all, great way to start a conversation with someone calling him a kid. I'm 32 years old, sir. Good grief, kid. 2 minutes into this, and I can't believe you, all caps, you, ever played any sport. Any sport. You're saying I can't even play chess or backgammon or baccarat? Like, you can't even believe I played any of those. Jeff Sims, as a quarterback, Sims has never exhibited any growth as a quarterback. Yes, Sims is a great, and he's talking about Jeff Sims, who transferred to Nebraska, by the way. Yes, Sims is a great athlete, but he didn't progress as a QB, as demonstrated by his play. couldn't make the short throws, blah, 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 blah. He goes into all this stuff. But then he keeps saying, IMHO, which I guess is, in my humble opinion, I wish the kid all the best, but if he was told to hit the field and didn't, then he let his team down, which I agree with. He definitely let his team down. I mean, he definitely quit on the team. Team needs to come first. He keeps spamming this, in my humble opinion. If you just keep saying, in my humble opinion, I doubt it's very humble. Now, your face is very red also, which is interesting. Like you look like you have a lobster crab face. Here's the thing. I bet I know more about football than you. I would be willing to bet that. And my whole point in that video was it's really difficult to judge how good a quarterback Jeff is because he had, one of the worst head coaches Georgia Tech has ever had, in Jeff Collins, that was a horrible micromanager that didn't push kids at all. He just patted their little booties and told them how great and elite they were. And in conjunction with that, he had the worst offensive coordinator of all time in Dave Patnode. That was like like an even worse used car salesman. He's like, you had Jeff Collins, and then as OC, you had Jeff Collins Light and Dave Patnode. Watch us live on ABC this Saturday, guys, 2:30. Like, have you ever heard a coach like advertise what channel they're playing on? And all I'm saying is that probably had something to do with how poor Sims played. The minute that Collins is gone, we go on the road with Sims and beat Pitt. Now, he had some passes that he got away with there, probably even 3 that could have been intercepted, but we played to the strengths, which is his speed. Then he comes home and looks really good against Duke. Does that mean nothing, to you, sir? Does that mean nothing? And even before then, he was playing better in his 4th season under Jeff Collins. So we'll see. I'll tell you what, if he ends up going and balling out at Nebraska under Matt Rule, you can place an apology at my feet. I'll give you the address. The Uncle Lou just says LMAO.
He's not laughing, sir. Stop laughing at me!
Anyways, that escalated quickly. Moving on. Kenneth Muse. Now, this was on a video where I was upset that we were going to hire Willie Fritz. If you don't know Willie Fritz, head coach at Tulane, and admittedly did fantastic with them this year. Had 3 top 25 victories this year. I mean, really good year. But like, he's old enough to have been a passenger that survived on the Titanic, which is concerning to me. He's just not a hire that is super excited. It seems like I mean, how long would he realistically be coach at Georgia Tech? But anyways, Kenneth Muse, which I'm using your name because you used your name to comment on the video, so I'm assuming you're okay with that. If not, don't use your real name to comment on my videos. I'm a Tulane fan, and Coach Willie Fritz is the best coach for the job, period. Can this key guy take a program like Tulane with academic restrictions and limited resources and make them great? Sir, I could care less if Brent Key could go to Tulane and do well. I'm concerned with what he can do at Georgia Tech, and he already proved that he can do well at Georgia Tech. He's already proven that he has the locker room. He's already proven that he has the backing of donors and executives at Georgia Tech. And he's made fantastic hires. Now, these hires weren't made but when you commented on this. I realized that, but I could care less what he would do in some hypothetical situation at Tulane. It took almost half a century to do what he's done at Tulane, and if he takes the job, we wish him the best. But let's be real. Name 10 coaches right now that could build Tulane, and don't comment if you don't know about the Tulane program and its struggles. So he basically says, give me an answer, but don't give me an answer. That's a really cool way to communicate with people, just gatekeeping. Let me tell you something, sir. No one knows anything about Tulane's program other than like maybe TriStar. If you haven't seen TriStar, he's a Tennessee guy that wants him to come back to the SEC. So If you would like, I can put you in contact with TriStar, and I'm sure he can tell you everything about Tulane's program and how great Willie Fritz is. The point being, it appeared that Brent Key was the best fit for the job. Jamie Chadwell could have also been a good fit for Georgia Tech, and that's really where most people in the Tech camp are divided on who knows. Jamie Chadwell could very well have been a better hire for Georgia Tech, but Brent Key's also really good. So Mike Doug, longtime fan, commenter, supporter of the channel, says, by the way, congrats on 100 subscribers and 10,000 views when you hit it. We did. Appreciate what you do, bud. Keep it up and look forward to more shows. I am sure you have some more gems for us as they hit the recruiting trail. So that was 5 months ago. So 5 months from then.
So if you're committed to 10Xing 2023, throw it in the chat. 10X, this is my year. This is my time.
We 10X'd 100 subscribers. We're at 1,030 right now. Guys, thanks for all the support, and I think we're closing in on. I'd have to look. Let's see. Let's see how many watch time or total views we're at. Go to analytics and lifetime. Come on. We're at 98,000 views on the channel to date. So, appreciate it. And then this guy, Dale Edwards, says, should have hired North Dakota State OC. That's a very Georgia Tech response, I hate to say. Now we go back to the Georgia faithful. As a UGA fan, dogs always play up and down to our competition. So I want you to think about what he just said in that opening statement. That's a great way for Georgia to never be ill-prepared or in the wrong. If they beat someone good, it's because Georgia's great. If someone beats them or gives them a good game, a la Missouri or Ohio State, Georgia's still great. They just play down to the competition. What a joke of a statement. Go look at the Dogs' demeanor versus Tennessee when the Dogs were picked to be embarrassed, and they played lights out. So not only is this guy, stating that Georgia's great no matter what they do, win, lose, or draw, he somehow thinks Tennessee was a favorite in the game Georgia played them. They weren't. I think they were two touchdown underdogs. They were 10-point underdogs in that game, I think. But I guess that's Georgia picked to be embarrassed. Against Tech, now he's talking about me. Now it's getting personal, fellas. Let's get personal now. Against Tech in the first half, we were sleepwalking. You know who disagrees with that, what he just said? Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart disagrees with that. So, hey, Tech comes out. What Kirby Smart said is, hey, Tech just came out and hit us in the mouth. No one thought, speaking of picked to be embarrassed, even I thought we were going to get absolutely embarrassed in that game. And we came out and hit Georgia in the mouth. But according to this guy, no, even if you come out, hit us in the mouth, score in your opening drive with a quarterback that ended up transferring to UMass, he was so bad, and Pumachan. We were just sleepwalking. Georgia's still the greatest ever, though, even when that happens. Nothing wrong with Georgia there. What a freaking joke. This is a great example of how a lot of Georgia fans look at things. Just like they can't conceive of how anyone would ever think Georgia's just not the greatest at everything they do. He says, I can tell at the half's speech lit them up. Also a very Georgia sentence. I can also tell you no coach that's a real coach cares about the spread. UGA comes out with Tech's fire. UGA comes out with Tech's fire, it would have been a first half beatdown. Yeah, I mean, if a pig flew out of my ass, it'd be weird, right? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, if Georgia would have came out and played better, they would have won by more. I mean, what are you talking about, man? You need to can you delete your channel and never comment on anything again? Even Georgia fans would like you to do that because you make less than 0 cents. So unbelievable. Another Georgia guy. Side eye here. I do like his profile picture. Stetson Bennett back-to-back championships. We don't give a dog what you other fans think of Bennett. Yeah, that I did a video on basically Bennett being drunk and pissing on his own fans and the people. Sycophant, reporters asking him questions in the national championship parade. Here's the thing, Side Eye. You care enough to watch the entire video and comment. So evidently you do care what other fans think about Bennett because Georgia fans are the most sensitive snowflake fan base you'll ever find. And here's another Georgia guy, John Withers. Now, John Withers is a guy that complimented me when I complimented Stetson in an earlier video. He's totally fine with that. But the minute that you're even slightly critical of Georgia, he says, with all your knowledge, why aren't you a football coach? Why aren't you a football coach? I love comments like this. So, have any commentary on football, on YouTube or wherever, you need to be a football coach. Unbelievable. Again, I guarantee you I know more about football than John Withers. So I wanted to show you guys what my response was because he disappeared after I said this. I said, with all your knowledge, why don't you start your own channel instead of being a mouth-breathing idiot commenter on other people's videos? See, all these people that do this, I'll say, hey, well, come on the live show. Let's have a live discussion. You can tell me how much of an idiot I am. Or start your own channel. Make your own video. Show me how college football YouTube's supposed to be done. None of these ballless people will do it, though. Which is what I say. Or better yet, call in Sunday at 8 and tell me how dumb I am live. You won't because you'd rather hide in the comment section and tell us how UGA really didn't want Calvin Johnson a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So that's the other thing. I said, Gibbs was at Tech for the majority of his playing career. I'm going to claim Gibbs in a draft video I did. How did Tech do in the draft? We didn't do well, obviously. And he says, well, if you're going to claim Gibbs, we're claiming Calvin Johnson. We're claiming Calvin Johnson. So this is what I'm talking about with sycophant, snowflake, idiot Georgia fans. The one big recruit in the state of Georgia they miss out on, they still, yep, he Georgia guy though. So his argument in another comment was, Calvin wanted to come to Georgia. Calvin Johnson wanted to come to Georgia, but Georgia didn't have the space for him. You too, sir, immediately delete your channel and stay off the internet for Georgia's sake. You're lowering the collective IQ of Georgia fans, which is already below the bar. So let's switch gears here. Georgia Tech guy, Paul Johnson, has a little bit of an issue with me. He says, I love you, man, but you are a fan and not a realist. Georgia Tech athletics did the right things, quote unquote, to maybe get a 5 to 6 win football team. Well, that's the first thing we've got to do. I mean, we haven't even been doing that. They had to make a change if they wanted to get any support before we get thrown out of the ACC. Now, I will say this idea that Tech would get thrown out of the ACC is friggin' insane. The ACC might dissolve and Tech be left with their dingling in their hands, but we're not getting thrown out of the ACC, sir. This was something people were talking about around this time, 3-4 months ago. Tech's going to get thrown out of the ACC. Shut up, dude. There's no. He says Georgia Southern and Georgia State would love to have our spot. Well, they're not getting it. We're not getting thrown out of the ACC. Kennesaw might be looking as well. Well, good on them. P. Johnson is gone, and winning more games than we have talent for is over. It's over. You're all in on it. This is a semi-pro football league. I tend to agree with that. That's what it's becoming. And if you are a possible UGA or Alabama type recruit and want a chance for 3 years in the NFL, then why would you ever consider us? So first of all, the goal right now is not to recruit 4- and 5-star kids that we would have to compete with UGA and Alabama for. The plan right now is improvement. Make a bowl, recruit in the top 30, play fundamental football, improve on offense, continue what you did on defense, and then build upon that. I mean, this idea that, there was some coach hanging out there that's not named Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, or Lincoln Riley that would come in year one and turn Tech into some national powerhouse or turn them into that in 3 years is insane. But I love you, Paul Johnson. Thanks for supporting the channel. We just happen to disagree there. Now, along these lines, you have Gooser here, which I don't know if he's a Minnesota or a Tech guy. I think he's more of a Tech guy. But he says, do you know anything about – now, he's not talking to me. I think he might be even responding to Mojo. Do you know anything about calculus? I tell you I do. Every student at Georgia Tech must pass calculus by the end of their sophomore year. In most cases, it needs to be at the end of your freshman year because that's the first math class that's offered. Trig is remedial math. Most people cannot pass calculus. That limits the recruiting population. So I agree with that. It definitely is a hindrance. Not many NFL players can pass calculus. Georgia Tech – so this is where he loses me, though. Georgia Tech can't recruit NFL talent. They can recruit triple option talent. So what he's saying is just give up. Just give up. Don't try and get really talented kids to come in. Bring in Bohannon, run the triple option, and just be relegated to mediocrity for the end of your days. And I love you, Gooser, but I'm not a fan that's going to be okay with that. Tech can recruit NFL talent. Now, if you want to have a conversation on do we need to add a program that's more appealing to athletes, that's a conversation to be had. But let me tell you something. Calculus gets a bad rap that it's some impossibly hard thing to do, but it's not. And you're going to have to recruit a kid that's not a deal breaker for, but it's not a gate that just keeps every talented recruit out. Stop with that. Tech can compete for the ACC. I think Tech can build upon that and compete nationally. Maybe within the next 10 years, depending on what they do, what changes that are made with like NIL, academics, and whatnot. Like I'm not just going to give up on my Jackets and be like, we need to go back to the 30s. Now, my last two comments here. I said I would never respond to this guy again, but he's just so vocal and such a mouth-breathing idiot. And also, I think it's good content because the guy is so clearly idiotic. A guy that I'm going to call Dick Wee Wee. His name is Richard Lely. And he puts his credentials in his YouTube name, and every comment that he comments, he talks about how great he is and what other credentials he has. Now, if you've been in the comment section at all, you've seen this guy. He's Tech's only like Fortune 10 graduate in management and mechanical engineering, which I would think someone who's as smart as Lely would have picked a harder engineering major like electrical or chemical engineering or something, but he doesn't do that. Cops out for mechanical engineering. He says, Merry Christmas. Tech gave me a lump of coal in my stocking with the Brent Key hire. Glad you guys think ranking 56 in recruiting and 20 in transfers is a success. Compare that to Coach Prime's top 25 recruiting and top 5 transfers. If you don't know what a straw man argument is, that's a perfect example of one. I doubt that Dick Wee Wee knows anything about logical fallacies, seeing as how he is a walking fallacy. I didn't say that. What I said in the video that he's commenting on is it's about the best we could have hoped for, giving a coaching change and almost, 80% staff turnover. I mean, that's about the best we could have hoped for. But in Dick Wee Wee's mind, that's what I expect out of Tech. By the way, he thinks that Key is the worst offensive line coach in the history of offensive line coaches. Never really says anything positive about Tech, hates everything Tech does. Just a real gem of a guy. Which, by the way, because he keeps reminding people of his credentials, let me show you what Dick Wee Wee reminds me of.
Along. Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration. Stanley Hudson. Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration.
Brian Howard.
Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration.
That's Dick Wee Wee. I have a professional engineer and a mechanical. I'm techs only. First of all, if I work at Walmart, does that make me Fortune 10? By what do you mean? So then this is really what broke it for me. He left this comment yesterday or the day before. I'm still waiting on my bet last year that I'll eat crow, real crow, at the Jackets Dogs tailgate, which isn't even a thing yet, if we go 6-6 or better. I think Uncle Lou, Pigskin Pete, and Sea Dog is game. First of all, you don't know Uncle Lou or Pigskin Pete. Do you? Do you talk to them? You've talked to them about this bet? I have a feeling they tell you to go shove it up your rear. But anyways, but we have Pussy WreckTalk can't get on board, which he misspelled because he didn't want the comment to get flagged for review. Which, if you know me, aside from being a sex bot and posting your OnlyFans, I don't ever not approve the comment to be viewed. Huge, everyone gets their voice heard. But let me tell you something. Speaking of being a wuss, which I guess now he's taken his credentials out of his name, Dick Wee Wee's the biggest wuss of all because he's yet to come on the live show and say anything. He won't do that. He'd rather crawl out of the troll that he was born under, or crawl out of the bridge he was born under, and just type in the comment section and never come on the live show, which is tonight, by the way. Georgia Tech live shows tonight at 8 o'clock with Sea Dog, and I don't want to miss it. I'll tell you what, Dick Wee Wee. I know everything about him. I've never met him. This is a guy whose parents probably didn't love him enough, didn't show him enough attention. The whole time growing up, he's like, Mommy, just please pay me attention a little bit, please. And then he'd go to school. He probably got bullied because he was, an attention whore, and he was trying to do things just to get noticed a little bit because he's so freaking annoying. All right. But he probably was smart, got into Tech, and here he is. And I would say to you, Dick Wee Wee, get over it. We will do better than 6-6. What bet are you even talking about, though? Reach out to the channel email or come on the live show. Even better. That's what a man would do that had some balls. Come on the live show and talk about this debate, either tonight, next week, whenever. And until you do that, I don't consider you a man at all. Tech's just fine. Brent Key is the right hire. He's made great hires in Buster Faulkner, bringing in Kevin Scherer, Marco Coleman. And I could give less than a crap what Dick Wee Wee thinks about it. So, guys, that's WreckTalk reacting to the comments. Hope you're having a great Memorial Day, and I'll see you guys